Yes, to some extent, this very country who's hosting this meeting has been looking at ways in which to do that, and I believe that many other countries are now groping with incentives by removing subsidies, for example, on fossil fuels and on road transport, to be able to switch to this. Now, having said that, the fact of the matter is that it's all about markets, and 1/2 of the world is not a market. From the point of view of business, it seems to me incredible that the bottom of the pyramid, which is half the 3 billion people, are not considered useful as a market. Because if they were, then many of our green transitions would take place automatically, because it's a market that only demands and needs the things that are actually green. Quite apart from the fact that the demographic impacts. This country in South Korea, in 19 years, has gone from a human fertility of 3.6 to below replacement. Why? Because everybody's lives have improved and there's hope for a better future, and when there is a better future, then smaller families is exactly what people have. No matter where, whether it's in Italy, right next door to the Pope, or in South Korea, it's always the same. Now, in the year 2050, if we're talking about climate change and about the amount of carbon emissions, there will be twice as many carbon tons being spewed out if there are twice as many people. And it is right now interesting to note that neither governments nor businesses are looking at the issue of demography at all. The Indian government has been. It was the first government in the world that had a population policy. It has been a very poorly constructed policy, but it was there. One of the things that it has done, which you just referred to, is in the last 3 years put in various rights. It's the first country in the world, perhaps, that has put in rights within a matter of 3 or 4 years for information, for education, for health, and for employment. And indeed, very, very shortly, there will be one for food. The right to have an adequate life is considered, in our democracy, a right for everyone. We have 1.2 billion people, and every single one of them is entitled to it, but the government doesn't have the resources to pay for it. So in order to do that, they've set up these systems, and one of them is the one you mentioned, the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which is an extraordinary statement. It says we guarantee the employment up to an amount of 100 days at least, at basic minimum, to anyone who demands it. And it's no longer the numbers you gave, it's actually 4 times as much. Because now it's anybody in the country who wants a job. Now it's a menial job, it's digging trenches, it's making roads, it's making bridges. So not everybody will come and ask for a job. But those who do not have any source of income, this is a terrific opportunity. This employment guarantee scheme, like most government schemes in most countries, is sometimes hijacked by people who know how to make full use of these schemes. But by and large, it's working, and it's a major contribution. What it's done is, it has had a dramatic impact on migration. In the old days, everybody was moving in different parts of the country for seasonal work. When the agriculture was good here, they would go there. That has dramatically dropped, because people can find a job in the place they live in. The second interesting thing is that there has been now an increase in purchasing power. By just bringing the poor into the market, we're able to now see the ability for small organizations, small companies, to be able to deliver things like energy, water, food, etc. So it's bootstrapping a whole new kind of economy, which is decentralized. And that, I think, is the future.
You alluded to a very interesting point that in India, a number of rights which in other countries were thought of as impossible on, in a sense, a collective society guaranteeing to its people, and employment being a fascinating one, food security is another one coming. Let me move to the other end of the spectrum, Georg, and take you back to your introductory remarks. One of the key determinants on whether a green economy has a chance to really scale up and to become a central driving force is capital, it's investment. You alluded to PRI and the increasing interest also in the financial services sector to look at some of the issues that we deal with under the green economy label as differentiating companies in the marketplace. Can you point to a couple of examples where you believe we really have moved beyond the declaratory and we actually see real trends? That means at least 6 to 7 zeros behind the comma, the first comma, being, in a sense, traceable in the global marketplace.
Achim, this is a tough question because I just told Koshla, sometimes in the morning when I wake up and I look into the mirror, I'm not sure whether I'm just a preacher or whether reality is somewhere else. But let me be quite frank. I think it's important that we are honest about where we stand, so we do not speak in a bubble and pretend we are there already, when in reality much of the world is not yet there. I think the truth about the investor community is, yes, they got a huge wake-up call after the financial crisis, and many of them are starting to seriously factor into analysis and decision-making the material aspects of non-financial issues, but this has not yet gone to a big scale, to be honest. Currently, we know of a few really cutting-edge developments where we are optimistic that within the next 6 months, some of the material aspects will be very visible and scalable. Companies such as Bloomberg, service providers have recently joined, and others who are now realizing that climate change, water management, also ethics and anti-corruption are actually very important for valuation, for financial returns over time. The fundamental problem, many have concluded and I fully share, is the time horizon that is applied. We have all been in chasing short-term returns or looking for short-term pleasures in life at the individual level. It's the same. I think we have a valuation problem there, and we have not yet integrated into financial balance sheets the costs and benefits of non-financial issues, in particular environmental ones. That hasn't really happened yet. We don't have a global price on greenhouse gas emissions. We don't have a price for wasting water, looking at it as a free good, as if supply were endless. So we neither price the bad, nor do we price the good yet. Once markets really kick in and integrate this into valuation, and I predict that this will happen within a few months, and watch our upcoming summit in New York, where we bring investors there big time. I think the seeds are planted. I think the ground is prepared, and the takeoff is almost within reach. But I think we also need to realize to make a big transformation, it requires a huge effort, because governments and politics are still very local, as we know. They come from their own historical pathways, and business has gone global. And this disconnect between global and local causes lots of tensions, and kind of preparing the ground for a new valuation that affects markets everywhere is a Herculean undertaking. But I think the seeds are there. The 10% of global business which got the message, I dare say it's about 10% which is there. The other 90%, let us remember, are still sitting on a fence, and some of them are actually actively opposing this agenda, as we so very well know. So we have to be realistic about this. So we need to work with these 10% and help them make the case why this is the right thing and why this is the success of the future, so that the 10% become 30%, become critical mass, become turning point constellation. I think this is a marathon. Success is not assured within 6 months or a year, but if we keep the focus and determination, and we build on the plants that we have been all seeding now for so long, then I think we have a fair chance of making it.